this, right? I'm recording for this on OBS because I want this handled, right? Okay, so think this through, right? It's a mix of supremacy and fleet battles. A mix of supremacy and fleet battles. So you would have supremacy on the ground and all that. You'd have supremacy on the ground and you'd be doing that. But in the fleet battles, you'd be fighting capital ships. So you'd have like two not raiders, the bigger ones, for the Empire. Then you'd have the two Nebulon Bs for that, and then you would have the flagships. And so you would have you'd have a squadron of 5 that's flying, and then you'd have the rest of the team on the ground. And so you would be able to have, so the max you would have would be 5 star pilots the entire time. You can only have 5, but it would be the 2, and that would be the squadrons part, like fleet battles part of the game. And you would be doing that, right? And then, so you could take down the capital ships and then the flagships. And it's essentially whoever takes down the flagships first would get an extra flag. Like, they would automatically achieve 1 flag. So they would, be two in the tug of war of like capture the flag, domination of the flags on the ground for supremacy mode. So you could be like, if it's like the one team has 1 flag left to capture, and then they take down the flagship, then they win, But if you take all the flags and then hold it and capture it, you then continue on and you attack the ship from the inside while the fleet battle is still going on outside, right? So you would go and land onto the ship and you would fight on the inside, doing all the modes, doing like the inside part of supremacy, and you would do that while they're still having the fleet battle. So it could be that either the squadrons people take it down from the outside, or you take it down from the inside. Whoever destroys the enemy team's flagship wins first. And I would say it wouldn't have the same health as in squadrons, because in squadrons, you have a certain amount of health for the flagship, and then you go and then it's done. I would say you'd have to up the health probably a little bit at least. I feel like you'd have to up the health for it to work, but I think that would be so cool. And then you could, like, if you had a rocket launcher, you could shoot down like a starfighter that's a little too close to the ground or something. Like if there's like a TIE interceptor flying by and you shoot it down with a rocket, and that influences the fleet battle that's overhead. Or if you're a bomber, you could influence the ground battle from the fleet battle. Like the fleet battle, like aerial battle, you could then drop down and blow that up. But it would be all the fleet battle, like starfighter stuff, would be essentially squadrons as a game. Like the game of squadrons would be the aerial part of that battle. And you would have, custom things for your starfighters and all that. And then you would have like supremacy mode, normal supremacy mode, as the ground part of that battle. And you would do that on all these different cool maps and all that. And I think that would just be so freaking cool. Please, for the love of everything holy, make that game. That would be Battlefront 3. Like that could almost be on its own Battlefront 3. That one thing, that on its own could be Battlefront 3, and it would be so fun. And also make it to where you could do it with bots, because that would be cool too, because you could kind of practice things with like easy mode bots or something, and then try it in a real game or something after you like have a strategy down. But it would get this mix of, it would like be like, you could almost get it up to be a perfect mix of Battlefront 2 and Squadrons, and make a perfect Battlefront 3 where it's, you have you have the supremacy mode and of Battlefront 2, and then Squadrons fleet battles mixed together into a beautiful, amazing, big, beautiful game as a game mode. And that game mode alone would be like what supremacy is in this, or fleet battles in Squadrons, because it would be the mix of the two. It would be the big game mode that everyone is playing. There's There's the one game mode that everyone plays the most in each game. In Squadrons, it's fleet battles. In this game, it's supremacy. And in Battlefront 3, what they should make is a mix of the two in this big, beautiful world. So you could have it to where there isn't any. You could have it to where there's not any starfighters. You could just play supremacy as supremacy. You could play supremacy as supremacy here, where you unlock the tanks and all that, and you're just grounded. Or you could play a mix of the two, and it would be a mix of both players. Because there are people that play this game that don't like Squadrons, and there are people that like Squadrons that don't like this game anymore because they only played Starfighter Assault, but they wanted more, and Squadrons gave them something more. But that game mode of mixing fleet battles and supremacy could then create an amazing game mode that gets the niche of Squadrons and the big thing of Battlefront 2 and mixes it together into this perfect game mode that I think would be amazing if they could pull it off. If they could pull it off correctly and got it to work just right, it could be the best game ever made. Because it would be the mix of it would be essentially like Battlefront or Battlefield, or Battlefront, where you have the aerial planes going and all that, but it would be just a bit more intense because it would be Squadrons. You'd be going in Squadrons. And I would think it would be cool to have it to where you would have the 5 starfighters on each side as the Squadrons, where it's first person, immerse, adjusting your power to wherever you need it and all that. And then you could have something where it's like or you could either choose to be a part of that 5, or you could have like different starfighters or something like that. That would be like third person, like Battlefront, starfighters. That'd be a part of the game. I would either do that or just base supremacy mode where there's no star pilots at all, no starfighters at all, but it would be also the fleet battle 5. So there would be like 5 on each side. That would be the starfighters for each side, and you could choose, and it would be like you could choose to be a starfighter, but there's only 5 slots that you can be in. But in amongst that, you have all the components of Squadrons and all that. It would be an insane game and probably will never be made because it would be such a big game if you made it. That would be packed with everything. It would be packed with the 70 gigabytes of Squadrons. I think it's 70. Is it 70? I think Squadrons is like almost 70 gigabytes, and then like the 200 gigabytes of this. It would be like it would probably end up being like a 500 gigabyte game, but it would be so cool. Because it would be such a fun game mode if that were to happen. That would be my favorite Battlefront 3, is if it were just like a mix of fleet battles and Battlefront 2. If they just like took Squadrons, took Battlefront 2, merged it together, and merge it together, not just throw it together, but merge it together in a very good way to where it actually functions correctly. Merge it together to where it's like a beautiful Battlefront 3 game where you have 5, you could have it to where it's like, almost Battlefront 2 as well, where you where you can, run up to the ship and get in the ship from there, and then it takes off, and then you can do it from there, but there would only be 5 at a time. So it would be 5 starfighters near your spawn, near your like base spawn, your like original spawn, and then 5 people would take that, and then one of them died, another one would respawn, like it does in the choice selection game for like heroes and stuff in this game. That would be like the starfighters essentially would be like almost the heroes category. I think that would be so cool. I think it would be the coolest thing on earth if that were to happen. I don't think that will ever happen, but I think it would be so cool if that happened. And I want it to happen. And if somehow this gets to EA, if this video gets to EA, please, 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 please do this.